Bonjour mes amis and bienvenue to Driving Instructor UK and my très handy guide to driving in France. If you are worried about driving across on the other side of the channel, maybe you're heading into Disneyland or further in France, then let me just reassure you and give you a little bit of guidance on how you can stay safe. I'll be looking at the different road types, signs and markings that you might come across, the rules around overtaking cyclists, motorway driving, and I will go on to the most important rule that you really must know about before you drive in France. And no, it's not that they drive on the right, although that is kind of important. So first of all, the road system itself. Main types you're going to come across in France are A roads, N roads and D roads. Not all quite a direct equivalent to what we have over here. A roads are autoroutes, essentially French motorways. N roads are routes nationales or national roads, and broadly these are equivalent to our A roads. Then you've got D roads, which are route départementales, and that is where roads can vary enormously. A D road can be a very substantial road, or it could actually be a very narrow rural road. So for me, the D road was the one that I didn't look at and assume I knew what type of road I was going on to. By the time I first joined an auto route, I had only been driving in France for a very short time. I have driven there before, and I have driven across many countries that drive on the right, but it does take a bit of adjustment. This was my first roundabout coming off of the shuttle. And as you can hear as I go around, it's just taking a little bit of time to get used to it.
Oh, I don't like it, and I'm not the one
so
driving.
Weird. Ah!
Dad, don't make me throw up!
Personally, I think if you are a competent driver in the UK, you're going to be a competent driver when you're driving on the other side of the road. So joining the A road, use the slip road, of course, match your speed to the traffic, find a safe gap, merge smoothly, and then work on building distance. Here I was following this slower moving camper, and I'd set my usual following distance. Now you will notice these markings along the edge of the carriageway. So they're visual references along most of the motorways that you'll see, and often on their N roads. And the advice is that you keep roughly 2 lines apart, so you will see footage of me elsewhere roughly following that. And before anyone says, yes, I know in this clip I'm closer than 2 lines, but look at the speed. You little scamps. As you approach an exit, you will find that the markings change, and the first time this happened to me, I thought I was in a dedicated exit lane, as per what this would mean really in the UK. But when these markings happen, it doesn't mean you're suddenly committed to exiting, and you can keep going on the carriageway. The normal maximum speed on a French auto route is 130 kilometers per hour, roughly 81 miles per hour. If it's raining or there's other precipitation, that drops to 110 kilometers, about 68 miles per hour. You'll also sometimes see a supplementary plate underneath a speed limit, so don't just look at the number, look at what the plate actually applies to. So you could have one for certain categories of vehicles, or you may see restrictions applying to vehicles that are towing. Another one you'll see regularly is parveglas. I'm probably saying that wrong, and that means ice or icy conditions. And so luckily, as I was driving through France in a heat wave in August, I didn't have to pay attention to the verglas signs. Most information I'm using for this video is from the codedelaroute, which is essentially the French highway code. Lane discipline is very broadly what you would expect as a British driver, just of course the opposite. So you keep to the right and overtake on the left. Overtaking on the right isn't something that you should be doing, but it's essentially the same rules as the UK. The French codedelaroute does say that overtaking happens on the left with only exceptional circumstances allowing you to overtake on the right. And the most common exemption that you're going to find is exactly the same as the UK really, but I think they word it better. When traffic is so dense that continuous queues have formed in all lanes, in that situation, one lane moving faster isn't treated as an illegal overtake. So here, just as I would in the UK, I don't pass this car on the right. I knew the road layout leaving Disney by this point pretty well, so you can see I instantly get back into the right-hand lane. I very much anticipate this person maybe doesn't know that or isn't going to realise until a bit later, and so I hold back. Find that little bit of patience that so many people seem to lack, and the situation resolves itself. As I said earlier, if you're a good driver in the UK, you're just transferring your skills to the other side of the road, and you're unlikely to suddenly become a bad driver just because you've crossed the channel. One thing you'll definitely come across on French motorways is the tolls. I paid something between 9 and 25 euros per time I used it wasn't that much, and to be honest I would have happily used it again for the convenience, and the roads were just a joy to drive on, unlike our patchwork quilts of roads that we have. There are slightly different toll systems I found. So on some sections you take a ticket like this one when you enter, and then you'll put that ticket into a machine when you leave, and it charges you according to how much you've driven. And other ones you turn up and immediately just tap your card and pay a set fee. When you approach the toll booths, obviously as you would do really here, pay attention to the symbols and avoid really the one that is T, which is electronic toll collection. So unless you've got a tag, you're not going to be using that lane. When you leave an auto route, do pay close attention to the speed limit. It often and almost always will reduce on the exit slip road itself. Once I was off the auto routes and onto the N and D roads, I honestly did find it quite easy. Probably the biggest thing really is just understanding the signs. For example, when you see this sign, you're entering an agglomeration, essentially a built-up area, and the default speed limit then becomes 50 kilometers per hour, which is about 31 miles per hour unless it's signed otherwise. And then you'll often find lower speed limits within these areas, including 30 kilometers an hour, which is about 19 miles per hour. When you see the corresponding sign showing that you're leaving the built-up area, the default limit outside built-up areas becomes back into play, and unless of course another limit is signed. For a normal car, that's generally 80 kilometers per hour or about 50 miles per hour. I think that's quite an important one to know, because as you can see, as you exit this area, there's no sign telling you you're now in an 80 kilometer per hour road. You're just meant to know that. But there are exceptions, so always read your signs. You will see plenty of pedestrian crossings in towns and villages. And the important thing is that pedestrians, of course, that are already crossing and are showing intention to cross do have priority. So don't approach these crossings thinking, well, they're still on the pavement, it's all right. You will see cars stopping very frequently for this sort of thing, exiting roundabouts, as here there's a pedestrian crossing, so I wait for this person to cross. The one exception could be looking for things like this, but as you exit one of the Disney car parks I was using, from this direction you're actually on a traffic light, so if your light is green, the pedestrians have a light telling them when they can cross. So happy days. You will also come across some traffic lights that I think can look quite strange for UK drivers, as there's often no road markings at all. And definitely one worth knowing about is the flashing amber light. So this doesn't mean stop. Under the French codedelaroute, a flashing amber light warns you of a particular danger, and it does allow you to proceed subject to any applicable priority rules. So here with the roadworks, it means proceed with particular caution rather than simply treating it like a green light. And in this case, I am allowed to proceed, but of course I have a very difficult junction to deal with, certainly in a right-hand drive car, so I still have to take good care and of course give way. So cyclists, I came across quite a few cyclists in France. It seems to be a particularly popular pastime. And the rules that you really must know about is when you are in a built-up area, so an agglomeration, you must leave at least a meter when overtaking a cyclist. And when you're out of a built-up area, you must leave at least 1.5 meters. So they do it slightly differently to the UK. We work on our speed to determine how much space is given. They work on actually the road layout that you're on, and that is a legal minimum. But there is one part of the French rules that I found particularly interesting personally. Under Article R412-19, you are specifically allowed to chevauche, probably wrong, a continuous solid line in the centre of the road when overtaking a cyclist, providing that the conditions for overtaking are met. Now, to make that really simple, I used the UK highway code, nearly called it mine then, and it's very similar really in the rules. What they're saying is make sure you're not being overtaken yourself, make sure there's sufficient room ahead. So again, like I said, if you're using good rules anyway, you're going to be just fine. Now, chevauche essentially means to encroach or to straddle a solid white line. So unlike what you might initially think, seeing a French driver move partly over a continuous centre line to give a cyclist sufficient room isn't necessarily an offence. This overtake here, whilst probably not the best timed overtake in the world, is just about within those working rules. But I would say notice, of course, something important. Being legally permitted to encroach on the line doesn't mean you have to overtake. So like here, if you're not happy with that it's safe, then you wait. And that's exactly what I did until I was happy that the cyclist was continuing on. I was turning left. There goes the overtake. Now here I have broken white lines, but they are long. So of course that's a warning line, and I wouldn't have overtaken the cyclist here in the UK. So I don't do it in France. I'm still looking at visibility. How far could I see around this bend? What about if a motorbike flings it round towards me? So I just hold back and wait. As I do that, I get a French driver behind me. Now you can't see this, but they're gesturing away and the light flashes because apparently I've ruined her entire day. But this is something that I say to my pupils all the time. Do not let somebody else's impatience influence the way you drive. If it's not safe, don't do it. Wait until you can actually see that it is clear to overtake. And now we move on to the rule that I think every British driver really, and of course anywhere else, must know before you drive in France. It's priorité à droite. And from now on, I'm going to call it priority to the right because my French accent's pretty bad. Watch a bit of Conquer driving, if any of you follow him. I watched his video in France and he mentioned that there is a priority to the right rule, and he said he's not seen it once, he's not had to do it. And that doesn't make him wrong. It just probably means that he didn't really drive in the areas where you're expecting to find this rule applicable. It is very applicable in France, I can assure you of that. I'm not likely to encounter this rule on, of course, motorways and fast flowing roads. It could be very dangerous. It's more likely to be in the small towns and villages. We've entered a small town or village and we see the sign telling us that we're entering the built up area. So of course, unless another limit is posted, we're now at 50 kilometers per hour. Then we see this sign. This is really important. This warns you that you're approaching an intersection where traffic joining from the right has priority. So if you're approaching this junction, you need to be prepared to give way to traffic coming from your right. And that can feel very alien for people like us from the UK, where actually the road layout very much looks like we would have the priority. But that's exactly what happens here. So as soon as I see the white van, my speed reduces and I allow it to emerge. And you can hear me briefing the wife up on the rule. She was thrilled.
So you got to give way to him.
If I'd needed to stop, that is exactly what I would have done to give priority to the white van. But for me, here's the really important bit. You cannot rely on seeing this sign because it will not be at every junction where priority to the right exists. You need to be scanning the junction itself. Now, essentially, the absence of anything telling you that another priority system exists means priority to the right exists. So you look for anything that changes the priority arrangement. So a give way sign, give way markings, a stop sign, a stop line, traffic lights, or a priority sign. And it can become quite interesting because if you look at this junction, the lorry is blocking the stop sign. So it's only the stop line that I can see telling me priority to the right does not exist here. If this vehicle was larger, it could potentially obscure the sign altogether. But then the absence of a give way line or sign or stop sign would mean I would have to give way to someone coming from this road. So where there's an intersection and there's no other form of priority arrangement, such as a stop line, give way, etc., then priority to the right does apply. So this is the sign you need to really recognize. This means you are on a priority road, and therefore, of course, that rule does not apply. So you're going to see this sign on fast flowing roads, the N roads, the auto routes. If you understand that, when you leave an auto route, it's not a surprise to see a sign like this, which now tells you you are no longer on the priority road. So now you need to be scanning those junctions for any other priority arrangement. So here's a good example of me benefiting, if you like, from priority to the right. I'm approaching this junction. There are no signs or markings telling me that I have to give way. And the vehicle to my left can't initially be seen, but the driver slows and allows me out. And because I understand priority to the right, the whole thing is actually pretty fluid. Now, of course, that doesn't mean you should just blindly fly out of a junction, but be prepared. Some French drivers may do this. And it doesn't mean that every single person is actually going to give way to you. You need to make sure it's safe. So you will still get examples like here where the white van either sees me too late or just doesn't want to stop. And the next vehicles follow the rule and allow me out. And you will get drivers, of course, like this one, who didn't even appear to look my way. They're just taking their priority, and look, I'm not going to make a point out of it. Same as the UK, having priority doesn't prevent you from a collision. So use your noggin. And I think it's really important, therefore, not to misread other drivers. So if we take this clip, I'm coming up to a left turn and the bus driver stops here. Now, they are not inviting me to turn left. They are allowing the traffic with priority to the right to pass. And once that traffic has gone through, the bus continues. And I do think if you didn't understand priority to the right, that could be quite confusing. But once you understand what's happening here, it does make perfect sense. I think for me, that's the biggest thing that I took away from France. Yes, the signs are different. Yes, markings are different. Yes, we drive on the right. But the fundamentals haven't changed. When I was planning overtakes on cyclists, in my head was the UK highway code, and it worked fine. If you don't know the UK highway code, yep, you might have some problems in France. And like here, I wouldn't assume something is correct just because I see someone else doing it. I make my own decisions. So honestly, I think it's easier than you think. If you are worried about it, and you're watching a video like this, that's a good sign. You're taking the interest. If you understand the handful of things that are genuinely different, the speed limit, the road classifications, some of the markings, the amber flashing light, overtaking cyclists, and most importantly, priority to the right, you probably aren't going to have too many problems. And for me, driving in somewhere unfamiliar is a really good reminder of actually what good safe driving is and how to achieve it. Whether you're driving in Britain, France, or anywhere else, the most important thing is that you get where you're going safely. Merci for your attention, and I'll see you later.